Good evening, and welcome to Farmingdale School District's annual Wall of Fame induction ceremony. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Carla Stillwell, and I'm a proud assistant principal here at Farmingdale High School. Additionally, I serve as the chairperson for the Wall of Fame Selection Committee. I am pleased to be joined on stage by 5 wonderful students and presenters for the night. Isabella Athesiou, Christopher Ferguson, Sarah Commenti, Daniela Doherty, and Joseph Kearney.
Started in 1998, the Wall of Fame represents a very talented group of men and women who have been first responders, veterans, educators, chefs, doctors, entertainers, artists, business owners, and so much more. All are excellent role models who show us that with hard work and determination, we could turn our passion into a successful career.
One of the goals of the Wall of Fame is that today's students will be inspired by our inductees to pursue their dreams and strive to one day be honored for their own accomplishments in a future Wall of Fame ceremony. Today we honor 3 Dalers. Our 2023 winners are Dr. Monica Ahern Lockwood, MD, class of 1980, Mrs. Melissa Firms Ray, class of 1991, and Mr. Kevin Byen, class of 1974. Tonight's event does not happen without the support of so many. We would like to take a moment to thank all of the people who have had their hand in this event tonight. We would like to thank our selection committee for all of their dedication and support, Mrs. Beth Garvey, Mr. Michael Hungerford, Mrs. Lori McLaughlin, Mrs. Evelise Powers, Christopher Bergson, and myself. We would like to thank our Board of Education members, our Central Office Administration, our principal, Mr. Jed Herman, assistant principals, Mrs. Martinez and Mr. Petrinaggio. In addition, we would like to thank the FHS main office staff, especially Mrs. Betty Looney, the custodial staff, and our AV staff for all of their help.
Tonight we will hear from several of our current students who are journalists for our school newspaper, Paper Line. They will have the privilege of not only introducing our honorees tonight, but also writing about their accomplishments for our school paper. Now we'd like to introduce you to Isabella Athesiou, our student journalist who will be writing about our first honoree, Dr. Monica Ahern Lockwood, MD.
Dr. Monica Lockwood is a graduate of Farmingdale High School's class of 1980, and since her departure has done great things in a variety of spaces. Dr. Lockwood received her bachelor's from Niagara University and went on to receive her master's at SUNY Buffalo. She then completed her medical degree at St. George's University School of Medicine, ultimately becoming a doctor that specializes in internal medicine. In high school, Dr. Lockwood was, in her words, an average kid that loved and was eager to learn. She attended Farmingdale South College at night during her senior year and worked a lot after school. She felt as if Farmingdale High School allowed her to be who she was and was a place where she could have her own experiences. One teacher in particular, Mr. Monteleone, was someone who she looked up to, and someone who led her to believe that everything happens for a reason. Dr. Lockwood continuously looked for this positivity, even if she didn't get into medical school right after college. She was still driven and passionate about medicine, which led her to apply to medical school abroad. It was at St. George's School of Medicine where she learned the practice that she became so devout to, spending 2 years in England and 2 years in Granada. It was on this journey where she was exposed to many different types of medicine, which in turn made her more passionate than ever to help those in need. She then did her residency in Connecticut, where she is affiliated with St. Vincent's Medical Center. She would later have 4 kids in 5 years and needed to find a way to balance being a mother and being a doctor. Dr. Lockwood did just that and absolutely loved the way that things just fell into place. Her positivity being canon of the quote, "everything happens for a reason," that she lives by. After 15 years, she had stopped private practice and in turn became a volunteer physician. She's a physician at Bridgeport Free Clinic, proudly serving patients without insurance and accessibility to medical treatment, and works with a number of volunteer organizations to provide medical care both in her community as well as impacting communities in need internationally. Additionally, she is a dedicated member of many NGOs, including Americans Global Response Group, Health Horizons International, and Health in Education for Haiti. She continues to go on 2 relief missions a year, and that has led her to the Bahamas following Hurricane Dorian, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and also Poland following the Ukraine crisis. Due to her passion and dedication to underserved communities, she was the recipient of the Patch Adams Award given by the Fairfield County Medical Association, as well as the Geoffrey E. Bourne Award in recognition of outstanding integrity and motivation from St. George's University School of Medicine. Her community commitments and professional accomplishments are something that all students can look up to. The passion and devotion to helping others makes Dr. Lockwood an excellent role model, one who stands by her positivity and her overall thinking that everything happens for a reason.
Dr. Ahern Lockwood was nominated by the late Mr. Frank Machio. Here to speak on his behalf, his wife, Mrs. Mary Machio.
Hi. My name is Mary Machio, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my husband Frank, who nominated my sister, Monica Lockwood, for the Wall of Fame. Frank was a 1966 graduate of Farmingdale High School and a teacher in this district for 34 years. Sadly, he passed away 5 months ago after nominating Monica, but before learning that her nomination was accepted. He'd be so happy to know that his sister-in-law was being inducted tonight. During his tenure at the high school, Frank was a special educator, and one of the programs he was very much involved in was the actual construction of the Wall of Fame. If my memory serves me correctly, the work was done by his Carpentry Plus class that he taught with a former tech teacher named Jim Lawler. It was an integrated class that did a number of projects around the building, athletic walls and all kinds of things, and they also did work for the state parks. However, as both a graduate and a teacher, Frank was particularly fond of the Wall of Fame project. He even used to joke that his name was the first one on the wall, and I think it had something to do with him writing it on the back of something before he put the wall. He followed the names that were added carefully, frequently commenting on the inductees. Some former students, some former athletes, teachers, and members of the community who were familiar to him. As time went on, Frank was also keenly aware of the course that his sister-in-law's life was taking. As an aside, when Frank and I got married, Monica Lockwood was 10 years old. The youngest of my 7 siblings, and being an only child, Frank embraced every one of them as brothers and sisters. And Monica was the last one. He watched her progress through high school, college, graduate school, and eventually medical school. And like all of us, he was very proud of her accomplishments. A few years after the Wall of Fame got underway, Monica was beginning to volunteer her time at the Free Clinic in Bridgeport through the organization called AmeriCares. As time went on, as you all heard, she became a member of their global response team, traveling to places like the Bahamas, Poland, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Guatemala, recently Vietnam. I could go on about these accomplishments, but you heard them and they're printed in the book. What I want to emphasize that is, in addition to all of this travel, for over 20 years, Monica continues to volunteer at the Free Clinic in Bridgeport near her home. Along with her husband, Bud, she raised 4 children and even took them with her on these foreign medical missions. She wanted them to see firsthand how much of the world lives, and she wanted them to be aware that they too might be able to help the less fortunate in some way in the future. As recently as the beginning of this month, Monica traveled to the Dominican Republic again. Her daughter Mary, who first visited there with her at the age of 12 or 13 years old, went with her again. However, this time Mary went as a physician herself. Frank truly believed in the importance of teaching and leading by example. What an extraordinary gift Monica has given to her children and to all of us. So, for a number of years, Frank would say to me, "Mickey belongs on the Wall of Fame." He said it over and over, but unfortunately, like so many things in life, we start off well-intentioned and then time and circumstances allow things to get away from us. Last year, however, Frank made it a point to get the application, fill it out, and submit it on time. He wasn't well at the time, but that's how much getting Monica on the wall meant to him. So I am going to close with a quick bit of Farmingdale history, being it's a Farmingdale event. In 1922, our grandfather, who was a doctor, came to Farmingdale from Brooklyn and started a family practice on Conklin Street, right across the street from St. Luke's in the big white house. He practiced medicine in that house and in people's homes through the Depression until he passed away in 1941. My mom was 16 at the time. Moving forward, our parents raised the 8 of us in that house, and our dad, class of 44, who is with us today, still lives in that house. Our mom, class of 43, was always so proud of her father, Dr. McMurray. And we all knew that she secretly hoped one of her children might follow in her father's footsteps and become a physician. Well, child number 8 did it, and thankfully, Mom was well aware of Monica's accomplishments before she passed. We all know that my mom, along with Frank, is looking down today and beaming. Fittingly, today is Mom's birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. Thank you, Frank. And congratulations, Monica.
Dr. Monica Aaron Lockwood, please come up and accept this plaque on behalf of the entire Farmingdale School community.
Despite what I do and where I go and how much fun I have doing it, I'm not a good speaker in front of people. So I wanted to say thank you very, very much. I really have to thank my husband and my children for letting me go off on these escapades for prolonged periods of time. I thank Mary for speaking so kindly, and the committee for nominating and accepting me, and Carla being so wonderful on the phone, because Mary knows I got a little nervous about it initially. I said, I'll be able to do this, and you were so welcoming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hearn Lockwood, and congratulations. Now, I would like to introduce you to Sarah Chimenti, our paper line journalist, who will introduce our second honoree, Mrs. Melissa Firms-Ray.
Mrs. Melissa Firms-Ray graduated from Farmingdale High School in 1991. Farmingdale High School made her feel not so small in a big school. 2 of her teachers, Mrs. Crow and Mr. Corby, had a significant impact on her and pushed her to be the best student she could possibly be. She decided to pursue her career in teaching and started off as a special education teacher and then moved on to be a social worker. During the summer of her first year in teaching, she realized she wanted to do more to help kids. Mrs. Firms-Ray is the distinguished president and co-founder of Kids Need More, which is an organization that is dedicated to bringing support and programs to children and families coping with cancer, including Camp Adventure, where students with cancer and children with cancer and their siblings have the opportunity to attend a week-long sleepaway camp. Melissa is an avid volunteer and has experience with many local and community boards, including Kiwanis, NYAPRS, COCAI, and NAMI. She has been recognized by the American Cancer Society as Volunteer of the Year Town of Babylon Woman of Distinction, and her efforts have been documented by Newsday, ABC, and Channel 12. Mrs. Ferns Ray builds healing communities for people, families, and children coping with life's greatest challenges.
Mrs. Firms Ray was nominated by Mrs. Alice Firms. Please welcome her to the stage.
Hello, everybody. So I just wanted to give a little background on how Melissa actually came to be with Kids Need More. When she was about 18 or 19, she saw an advertisement from the American Cancer Society asking for volunteers for this camp. And she said she was going to go. And I'm like, she's going to hate it. We're not a camping family. She's not going to like camping. So she came home and she loved it. And for the next 20-odd years, she volunteered every year. Every week for Camp Adventure, she volunteered. And then one day, American Cancer Society decided they no longer wanted to do Camp Adventure. And this wasn't just a camp for Melissa. This was her family. This was her kids. These were her people. This was like a whole family. And she said, I can't let this go. So her and her husband figured out a way to take Camp Adventure over. They organized Kids Need More. And this was after Hurricane Irene had destroyed part of their house, their car, and then the following year, Superstorm Sandy destroyed their house, their cars, their boats, but she never complained. She just kept going on. Even as she was in a small apartment waiting for her house to be ready, she was knocking on doors, seeing if anybody in the neighborhood needed help, because she worked for an organization called Feds. After that, her house was ready to go back to, and she had a great big party. She would organize a big party for the neighborhood. Everybody was going to come. But Melissa wasn't feeling too good. So she went to the doctor, and they put her in the hospital. And the next day, she insisted that everybody still go to the party and have the party without her. And the next day, she was diagnosed with acute leukemia. And she didn't complain. She just took it out, and as she was sitting in the hospital for days and months at a time, and I know she did this because I was there with her, she sat in the bed and she just was on her computer fundraising for the organization, trying to get these kids to go to camp again the following year. And they did it. She did it, and it's become much more than just a camp. It's become so much more. It's where they give gifts to the kids at Christmas time. They have 40 buses that go out with people dressed up as elves and singing and Santa Clauses and bring gifts to all the children. And they have where they go into the houses and help the parents of children with cancer to give them a little respite. And there's just so many things. She's involved the rest of her family. I've gone on many strange things that I've had to do. Sitting, freezing in the parking lot of Ace Hardware when the monthly movie comes on, selling concession stands, candy cane hunts, Halloween parties, you name it, we've done it all. So, but she never complained through anything, and she just cares about her kids and her family. And that is, I want to congratulate you for this award, and that is one of the reasons why I nominated her, because she really truly cares about the kids. Thank you.
Mrs. Melissa Firms Ray, please come up and accept this plaque on behalf of the entire Farmingdale school community.
I think I'm gonna faint. That was, let me just say, this is like to watch my mom come up here and say these things about me. I mean, I'm so precious, it's so special. I feel so lucky that I get that opportunity. I'm usually not speechless. When I went to Farmingdale, when I was a kid, I never would think that I'd be on the wall. I wouldn't be that kid. I was kind of timid and shy in school, and I do remember my great friendships that I made, and I remember I'm the oldest of many, so my mother said a lot of great things about me, but all of these things came from my family. My mother, and my mother and father to this day, since I started kindergarten in Farmingdale at Northside, they have never not had a child in Farmingdale school system. My sister here today is 16, and my little Delilah is in high school right now, Farmingdale High School. My parents have been advocates for children my whole life, and kind of taught me to do that because they're foster parents, and they also have adopted and have taught me how to do it. My family is a tribe, I think, they created, and then I guess I wanted to follow my mother's footsteps and my dad, and I love my family so much, and I'm so honored and humbled, especially after hearing about the other honorees, my goodness, that I'd be here today. So thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferns-Ray, and congratulations. Now we would like to introduce you to Joseph Kearney, our student journalist who will be writing about the beloved Mr. Kevin Bain. Kevin Bain truly represented the ideal Daler due to his dedicated career of helping others find their way in music education. From elementary school to high school, Mr. Bain's music teachers, as well as his passion for music, served as his inspiration for his choice and career path. During his time at Farmingdale High School, he participated in concert band, marching band, wind ensemble, jazz ensemble, and even baseball. He had an extraordinary impact on the Farmingdale music teachers as they went above and beyond to assist the faculty and students at all levels. Throughout Mr. Bain's life, he worked hard to afford his college and advanced degrees. At 16 years old, he started working in his parents' luncheonette on Broadway in Massapequa, where he demonstrated his understanding of a strong work ethic. After getting his bachelor's degree at LIU CW Post Campus and continuing his graduate studies at LIU and Brooklyn College, Mr. Bain's music education career began in Hewlett-Woodmere Public School District, where he served as a teacher and high school band director. He held a long list of leadership positions within NYSSMA, including the All-State Instrumental Jazz Chairperson, President of the Nassau Music Educators Association, President of the Nassau County Chapter of New York State Council of Administrations of Music Education. On top of that, he was the supervisor of teachers for SUNY Fredonia and trained educators to be adjudicators for the NYSSMA large organization festivals. He also mentored, supported, and inspired students and young teachers to further their education and get involved with state and county musical organizations. Many of those people now are district directors of fine and performing arts. Everyone knew and tremendously respected him for his public service and his mission to keep music education alive in New York State. Although Mr. Bain may no longer be with us, his legacy lives on in the Farmingdale community as a beloved son, brother, husband, father, mentor, friend, and Daler. Mr. Kevin Bain was nominated by multiple sponsors, including Mr. Greg Warnikowski. We would like to welcome him to the stage at this time.
There are people in our lives who we all look up to and see them as a mentor or a role model. Someone who is that go-to person in an organization who always has the answer that you're looking for. That person who always seems to rise to be a leader, even though they may not have planned to be, but because of their wealth of knowledge and passion for what they do, people naturally see them and respect them as a trusted leader. To me, that person I am describing was Kevin Bain, especially in our world of music education. When I was first asked to speak at this ceremony to honor Kevin, I knew immediately that I would speak on behalf of the members of the nominating committee who worked so hard for many years to see to it that Kevin was inducted into the Farmingdale Wall of Fame. They are Brad DeMilo, Rita Patton, and Gina Pelletieri. First, I would like to share some thoughts of Mr. Brad DeMilo, who was Kevin's first band director in Farmingdale when he attended Albany Avenue Elementary School. Brad spent just over 38 years as a band director in Farmingdale, and he reflected on how with all those years of teaching, he can still remember the students who stood out from their peers. Well, Kevin certainly stood out. Brad recalled how he started Kevin on the saxophone in the 4th grade, and it was a perfect match, and remembers well how he composed a piece of music just for young Kevin that featured the alto sax with band accompaniment just to challenge him even more. He knew early on that Kevin was a student with that extra something that includes perseverance, talent, dedication, investment of time, achievement, and support from his parents and the community. Well, I would like to point out that it is known that Kevin always said that he went into music education because of the influence of his first band director, Mr. Brad DeMilo. And ironically, Kevin also spent 38 years as a band director, just like Mr. DeMilo, and a district director before he retired. Our former Farmingdale Director of Fine Arts, Mrs. Rita Padden, she reflected and remembered Kevin from the early 90s and for many years after as an incredibly knowledgeable and dedicated leader in so many organizations, including the Nassau Music Educators Association, the Niskayim Association of Music Administrators, the BOCES Arts and Ed Council, and as NYSBA coordinator for the large organization festival, where our groups performed every year to receive feedback from state adjudicators. Kevin understood the challenges as we all work to foster strong music and art programs in our schools. Kevin grew as a young teacher, learning from Nassau's legend, Joe Sugar. Kevin learned about dedicating oneself to music education. Kevin was passionate about supporting not only the Hewlett-Woodmere students, but all of our students in Nassau County, and through his NYSBA work, music education for all students in New York State. As new fine arts directors began their challenging positions, Kevin was instrumental in being a contact person who could answer any question that the new director was struggling to handle. Not only was Kevin willing to help, but he was a treasure of knowledge of solutions to problems. With Kevin's help, new directors came to understand the perspective and concerns of parents, academic teachers, music teachers, students, and district administrators. Kevin never told you what you had to do, but provided you with valuable information so you could make informed choices for your specific situation. We were also grateful for his knowledge, experience, and advice. And Gina Pelletieri, one of our high school band directors, shared her thoughts. She commented that Kevin was a beautiful person inside and out. He was very proud of the community that he came from and still lived in. Always very proud of being a Daler, and always did whatever he could do to help out a fellow Daler. When he was in charge of organizing NYSBA majors, when of course his heart was always with helping Hewlett-Woodmere, where he served as their beloved director of music, Kevin would always go out of his way to help the Farmingdale ensembles in any capacity he could to ensure that he could help set the table for success to help Farmingdale succeed. He truly was a friend and mentor, and always believed in us here in Farmingdale. And lastly, for me personally, I would like to share a wonderful recent memory of Kevin that means the world to me, but also shows the kind of person that Kevin was. It was at a NYSBA festival, and my son Greg was about to walk into the room to be judged, and I was accompanying him on the piano. We walk in, and Kevin Bain is our judge. Now picture this. I looked up to Kevin and held him in high regard as someone similar to Joe Sugar, who, for those of you who don't know, was the biggest advocate for music education in New York State, and even has a day in Albany named for him, Joe Sugar Day. So when I realized that Kevin Bain was going to be my son's judge for his last all-state solo that I was accompanying him on piano for, understandably, it added a little more pressure to the situation. Not only was I worried about Greg succeeding on the alto sax, but now I felt like I was getting evaluated, as I wanted Kevin to hear us both perform on top of our game. Well, the two of us walked into the room, and Kevin immediately joked with my son, saying, "I hope you're not paying this guy too much to play the piano." He then made him feel comfortable, explaining that he too is a saxophonist and personally knows how difficult the piece is and requires stamina, and that the upstairs room we were in was so hot that night. He said, "Feel free to take a breather, take a drink of water, anything you need." He then said, "This is quite a tough piece, Mr. Warnikowski. Good luck to you." I admit at that moment, my fingers began to sweat just a bit. Well, thankfully, my son and I played the entire piece through without stopping for a break or even water. Kevin then did something I've never seen a NYSSBA judge do before. He stood up and he clapped loudly, giving us a standing ovation. I left the room so my son could do the sight reading portion, and after he played it through, I saw him through the window talking with Kevin for what felt like 10 minutes, since there was no other student waiting to go in. When I asked Greg afterwards, "What did you and Mr. Bayan talk about?" expecting musical advice, he said he asked if I played any sports. And when he found out I was a varsity baseball player, we chatted about how Mr. Bayan played baseball and how we had a lot in common with their love for baseball as well as the alto sax and music in general. Greg was smiling ear to ear after he left that room, not only because of the compliments that Kevin gave him about his NYSSBA solo, which he consequently gave him the All-State 100, but because of the wonderful conversation they just had about playing baseball and how he plans to continue playing baseball in college. Hopefully, that gives you a sense of how down-to-earth Kevin Bayan was and how he touched the lives of not only fellow music teachers and directors like myself, but also the students that he would have contact with. I know I speak for everyone that is here tonight, including his wife Gail, and loving family and friends, and all the music educators and directors across New York State who wish they could have been here tonight, that Kevin Bayan left an unparalleled legacy as a music education advocate, and we are so appreciative that the Farmingdale School District will now honor him, and his picture will be forever on the Farmingdale High School Wall of Fame. Thank you.
Mr. Kevin Bayan lost his courageous battle with cancer in March of 2022. His beloved wife, Mrs. Gail Bayan, please come up and accept this plaque on behalf of the entire Farmingdale School community.
Good evening. My name is Gail Bayan, and it is with great honor and gratitude that I stand beside my family to accept and recognize Kevin's induction into the Wall of Fame for 2023. Unfortunately, Kevin passed away on March 11th, 2022 from prostate cancer, but there is no question he is shining down from above at this very award because this meant the ultimate to him. Kevin's career in music apparently started at the age of 2, according to his parents, who are thankfully here today. This evening, Kevin would stand up in his playpen for hours and make believe he was conducting a band. I am 100% positive that everyone here gathered today knows Mr. Brad DeMilo. Brad spent decades of years teaching in Farmingdale and shared his amazing soul and love of music with all of our students. At the age of 9, Kevin had the great fortune of having Brad DeMilo as his elementary band teacher at Albany Avenue. Coincidentally, I had the great pleasure of working with Brad when I taught band here in Farmingdale for 7 years at Northside and the high school. Mr. DeMilo's talent and rapport with the students was nothing less than spectacular and legendary. As Kevin continued as a student in Farmingdale, he was inspired to become, and I quote, just like Mr. DeMilo. Throughout the next 55 years, Brad became his lifelong mentor, and more importantly, along with his wife Ingrid, a dear friend to us both. Thank you, Brad, from the bottom of our hearts. This past year was a difficult time for our family without Kevin, but it was an eye-opening experience for me. Thousands of people at his funeral, awards that I received posthumously at events on his behalf, and more importantly, hundreds of personal letters from many fellow educators that shared their private stories of how he mentored them through their darkest times and helped them be who they are now. I'd like to share this quick story with you so you can truly understand the person Kevin was and always will be. In December of 2021, 3 months prior to his passing, Kevin received the Distinguished Service Award for NISMA. This is the highest award granted by this organization. All of our children were on stage with us at this presentation, which was held at the All-State Conference in the Eastman Theater, concert, I should say, in the Eastman Theater in Rochester, New York. As per usual procedure, Kevin was asked to give a speech once he received the award from the president of the organization. Kevin rallied and spoke passionately to the audience about the importance of keeping music education alive for our students. He proceeded to thank parents, teachers, administrators, chairpeople, executive board members, shouting the praises of NISMA as an organization. The hall, filled with thousands, burst into a giant standing ovation that went on for a very long time. Kevin did not utter one word about himself, but instead focused on the good deeds of all these other people. This was the true essence of my husband. He would mentor upcoming directors and teachers when they were struggling with the decision that had to be made. His answer was always the same. In all cases, you do what is right for the students and the program. That is the only answer. This is how Kevin led his staff through 38 years in Hewlett-Woodmere School District and stayed steadfast to his mission. Matter of fact, prior to his passing, he made sure that a scholarship fund was in his name so that all donations from alumni, family, teachers, friends, relatives went directly to help students in need so they could afford to go on the music trips to Disney, Boston, Williamsburg, etc. His legacy as we speak has currently generated $40,000 to the Hewlett-Woodmere community. Yet again, Kevin Bayan, always putting the kids first. Kevin held countless leadership positions, which are all listed on the back of your program. Suffice it to say, there was never a time when Kevin wasn't contributing to the health of music education in this state. Kevin was a diehard Daler through and through. Matter of fact, he coached Farmingdale baseball with Jim Hickey for many years when our 3 boys were younger. He rooted our daughter on as she played soccer in Farmingdale. For almost 50 years, whatever Kevin was in charge of musically throughout the county and the state, he always made sure that the Farmingdale Music Department teachers, staff, and students were taken care of to the very best of his ability. Farmingdale was always his #1 priority. Kevin's induction to the Wall of Fame was due to the tireless work and effort of Brad DeMilo, Rita Padden, Gina Pelletieri, Greg Warnikowski, and Carla Stillwell. Can you all kindly stand to receive the recognition you deserve? There are no words that could express how grateful our family is to you for making this happen. Kevin always spoke of his desire to someday share the Wall of Fame with Brad DeMilo and his other dear friend, Tommy McCarthy, a trumpet player who he went through high school with. Kevin loved Farmingdale with all of his heart and soul. I know he is watching this ceremony today with such pride and joy. I would like to close with thanking all of you for giving him this honor, which he wanted most of all, and for allowing Kevin to finally conduct his ultimate grand finale. Thank you.
my short time here in Farmingdale, I've had many moments that make me so proud to work here, and this by far has been one of them. Thank you for sharing this evening. I want to thank all of our speakers tonight, and congratulations to all of the honorees on this wonderful and well-deserved recognition. Thank you most to all of the community members who believe in the power of our Wall of Fame and take the time to nominate deserving individuals of this very special honor. Congratulations to our inductees and their families tonight. We are so pleased to add inspirational people to our Wall of Fame this year. I'll always remember you as my first. We will share your inspirational stories and messages with our students. This concludes this evening's presentation. Please join us for some light refreshments and pastries. And thank you again. And I would ask that our administration, as well as our honorees and sponsors, come up for some photos. Thank you again, and congratulations.